Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear NeuroGuard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room and help with balance when I'm on the baseball field.
One of the most comfortable, reduces concussion, increases performance. You can't get a mouthpiece like that on the market.
Not only is it a great product, it's super easy to use. I recommend it for any player at any age at any level. Thank you guys so much, and go check out NeuroGuard Plus.
NeuroGuard mouthpiece makes it easier to breathe while playing basketball. The unique design is not as bulky as any other mouthpiece and makes you feel safe in concussions.
NeuroGuard really control my breathing while I'm writing. It stops me getting concussions while I write. It's very easy to use, so go pick one up today.
You know, I'm still doing stunts. You know, and with concussions I've got, and I feel much safer with that. I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing a whole lot better in the gym. So NeuroGuard Plus, you know, once this one wears out, you've got a customer for life, because I'm telling you people, NeuroGuard Plus is the way to go, and me, Mark Ash, says so.
Parents, kids, coaches, NeuroGuard. It's the future. Stay tuned.
Brown right, motion, tailback slant. Let's put the women and children to bed and go looking for dinner, all right? On one, ready? Go 13! Coming up, go 13!
Lights are bright on Friday night. Fall in small Texas town.
Teams are starting to round in
People
the
train
here to talk about it. Two-way style. Hello, everybody. Tuning in. Grant Goodwin here on Sideline to Sideline, the 2A edition on L4 Media, brought to you by NeuroGuard Plus. As we're starting to see where teams are starting to kind of come out and starting to see what the, as you and I always talk about, the themes of 2024. And I think we're about to start seeing some of these teams, like, I guess, and I know teams develop later in the season too, but it feels like this thing how teams are going to be for the rest of the year.
Yeah, you kind of see some separation, right, from, you know, the haves and the have-nots, right? The cream kind of rises to the top. And this is the week, this week, next week, and the week after that is where I think you start really seeing who the true contenders are, right? We have a pretty decent idea from this past week on a few of these teams, what they've done and how impressive it was to what they can be and what they can do in the region, state, you know, all that. So, yeah, I think the next few weeks, very exciting.
Well, and we'll start with a team that I think fits that perfectly. When you look at Beckville and what they lost last year, you know, everybody remembers, of course, Jacoby Williams. And by the way, we got to hear him score a touchdown this past week, driving back from our game on Saturday, and Texas Tech was whipping UNT, and he got in. And
True freshman.
And even if it's in garbage time, he's impressing Texas Tech if he's getting playing time as a true freshman.
You know, remember the last guy we covered that had an impressive showing as an underclassman, Baylor Cup, who's now on the Georgia roster and who is one of the best.
You mean Cash Jones?
What did I say?
Baylor
Cup. Oh, yeah. Cash Jones, and Cash Jones is tearing it up. Probably one of the best players in college football right now. And so, yeah, here we go.
What?
I mean, that's how it started.
Exactly.
With Cash Jones, getting his chance.
Steve Sark is doing everything right at UT. But, man, it's going to be glaring with the injuries that Texas had when they played Georgia, and you got a Texas boy lined up as the tailback for Georgia.
Yeah,
that hurts a little bit.
I don't know who to root for.
Well,
I mean, I'm rooting for Texas, obviously, but, man.
Well, that's, we talked about
Cash, when the ball comes Cash's way, I want him to run and do something with it.
That you and I talked about that. Speaking of Baylor Cup, you and I were at the Texas game 2 years ago when Texas was dominating, and McGuire sends in Baylor Cup, and he ends up turning the game around. And it was like, that sucks, but man, that's really cool for Baylor Cup because he was at Brock. We had dealt with him and stuff. But for Beckville, not only did they lose him, but they lost Jasper Best, they lost Austin Berry. It wasn't just him, and there was a lot of questions about this team coming back. 3 on offense, like 5 on defense, and so far to start the season, I think Beckville's answered all those questions.
Yeah,
beating 3 teams.
3-0.
Yeah, 3-0. And they haven't beat world beaters. Seeing Joaquin and Harmony, or especially Harmony being a 3A school, they're a competitive, those are competitive teams. And Jordan Prance ran for 162 yards on 6 touchdowns and
16 carries.
Or 16 carries, excuse me, 6 touchdowns.
Well, we're all kind of discombobulated this week.
We always
already,
are.
Right?
2A show, the first show, it's not 2A, it's the first show. We always record 2A first. It always takes a show to kind of get into the flow of things. And also, we're already at that point. I mean, we've had 3 long road trips. We love it, but we're all at that point where we're kind of like,
let's get to district.
Yeah.
And then let's get to playoffs. Yeah, offensively, Beckville, man, they had 284 yards on the ground, 121 yards through the air. I think this is a great win for Beckville. Defense played great. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Yeah, and this is a team that for the last couple years, they kind of got caught up in that Timpson wash of, can you get past Timpson? Can you get past Timpson? And everybody thought last year best chance. We were there when we saw them play Timpson in week 1, and it wasn't pretty. And Beckville even got the chance. Last year kind of just felt like, and I say this, they were 10-2. Their only losses were to Timpson and to Garrison. And the Garrison game was pretty competitive. But last year just never felt like Beckville found themselves. I think this year, sometimes losing a bunch of guys and having guys have to step up, sometimes it's a fresh start. I'm not saying that they cause it's just a fresh start, period.
But yeah, last year, the 2 times we saw Beckville, one in person, and I think I watched it online, one of their playoff games, they could never overcome, if you took their playmaker out of the game, right? You schemed them out of the game. They didn't have much answer. Now they're forced to, and look what they're doing.
Yep, exactly.
Still early in the year, though.
Yeah, they got Halton this week. They'll destroy them, and then they start district play. 10-2A starts in 2 weeks. And when you look at that district, look at Elysian Field, surprisingly 3-0. Hawkins, we haven't even talked about the Hawks of Hawkins, and we really could because they've got an offense, Grant, that is absolutely breaking records for them and for East Texas. They beat Maude 74-16. They beat Sims Bowie 52-0, and they beat Winona 50-20. I mean, they're averaging 58 points a game. That's freaking amazing for a Hawk team that, I think 2020 they kind of surprised everybody. I remember they went like 9-2 or something like that, and they got beat in the first round. But Bill Cowley, it looks like he's got an offense that's so 10-2A Division I has been competitive. Union Grove's 3-0. I think it's going to be a fun district. We might end up having to go out for a district game out there.
Let's do it.
All right, where do you want to go next?
Let's go Sunray 31, Stratford 14. Did you know this is the first time since 2011 that Sunray has beaten Stratford?
Yeah, that I love
Sunray
stats like
is
that.
making all kinds of marks over the last few years. This is probably Sunray's best team in 50 years, right?
I would say, and Sunray fans, let us know, Grant and Terry at S2SSport.com. For a team that's never played in the state championship game, they've never they've only made 24 playoff appearances. I would bet they're saying this is probably their best team.
Yeah, this is your time, and this is the Sunray team to do it. They got a big one coming up this week, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll do that against
But I mean,
Childress.
they've been doing against, Hooker, Oklahoma, Abernathy. You just can't help
My
yourself.
favorite town in the world.
And somebody jokingly said, man, y'all sure keep talking about Sunray. And we're like, well, look who they keep playing. And
Right.
Childress, Canadian. They're playing Canadian in 2 weeks. That's going to be an interesting game. And I had a Sunray fan tell me on Facebook that Armando Luan is amazing at quarterback. He's everything, but they have another guy that's coming down the pipe that he says, I don't think he's going to be as good, but the drop off will not be that noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be interesting to see with how good he is. But yeah, they keep winning against good teams, and a good win for them, 31-14. Speaking of a good win, Mason, man, Coleman has kind of struggled this year.
They have. Now, Coleman has kind of front loaded their schedule against some pretty tough teams, right?
Yeah, but
and
they're
Mason
not even
is not a cupcake. I mean, Mason one of the top 10, 15 teams in the state. But yeah, Mason taking out Coleman 53-6.
Yeah, Mason,
they got a big one against Junction this week. And Junction, I think we had that one slightly previewed in this next section,
yes,
as well, or next segment as well. But yeah, Junction 3-0. Mason 2-1 with their only loss to Wall. So
loss, and that loss never looked bad at all. But that loss is specifically now with where Wall is and how quick they're developing with their offense, along with that Wall defense that's always good. That win or that loss is a perfectly you got beat by a better 3A team.
Yeah. So Palestine Westwood 63, Timpson 34.
Let's see if I can find something.
When I was building the run sheet the other day for this game, I could not find any stats anywhere. So I don't know if you can pull those up right now. But Westwood just pretty much thumping Timpson. Now I know Westwood's a division up, right? But I think a lot of people have been, like we were saying last week on last week's show, that Westwood is being overlooked by a lot of people.
Yeah,
right now, Westwood winning this game over Timpson like they did, 63-34, should announce their arrival. You need to start looking out for Westwood.
Yeah, Westwood on the night, 536 total yards. So far on the season, and I know Westwood's 3A, but so far on the season, Westwood has scored 196 points. They're averaging 65 points a game, and they're not playing a bunch of paper maches. Yeah, they're. Right. I mean, Timpson. They have a depth issue, but a depth advantage. But I mean, Palestine Westwood scoring that many points is blowing my mind, and we'll follow them on 3. And for Timpson,
it is not your grandfather's Westwood.
No, and I think this game shows definitively, and we knew it, and it doesn't mean Timpson can't be back, because I think they're going to still go really far this year. But this is the game that you kind of go, okay, this is Timpson of last year. They eked by West Sabine, and West Sabine, by the way, they've turned out to have a nice start to their season. So that might not be as big of a thing. They got by Lovelady, and they gave up 48 points. And so you're starting to see now Timpson's issue is their defense when it comes to really good offense. They're going to have to figure that. We're getting to shootouts, which they could do. They have that weird one this week where they play Wolf City. Boy, poor Wolf City, man.
Yeah.
Good on y'all. Hey, they're on Wolf City's 3-0.
Aggression taken. Okay. Yeah. That's a different 3-0.
All I was doing was giving a stat, good sir.
Hey, yeah, you were. But let's go back to Westwood, man. I mean, what's the last time that they've had gone into district undefeated?
That's a good question. Let's see. Last year,
I asked you a question that's very hard to validate.
Well, actually, technically, it was last year.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they were in 9-3A Division 2.
Well, that was way too easy.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. Well, and last year's when they kind of started surprising people.
Right.
They had made the playoffs
but
a couple
they
times.
hadn't shown up in the AP polls yet. Dave Campbell's.
They're 8 now.
8. Okay.
3A Division 1.
I didn't know they had them in there.
I think it's just this week, and they deserve it. So beating.
I was kind of thinking last week that and we're about to do our rankings this coming week, right? Westwood will be higher than 8.
I think so. And I think, and again, 3A Division 1, there's a little bit of a log jam above them with some really good teams. And I still, I still question how far they can go, partly because the region they're in 3A Division One is just such a. It's
I
that
know,
region
but with that
3.
offense with Westwood,
No, you're 100% right on that. You're 100% right.
As long as you're not having an off night offensively, the world is your oyster. It's that night where just things aren't clicking. Now your defense has to win a game.
Yes, that's what they've got to figure out.
That's what happens sometimes in these late playoff games when you get into the second and third rounds. That's where it kind of catches up. When you, and not saying Westwood's defense is bad. I mean,
well, no, but they've given up. They shut out St. Augustine. They gave up 34 to Timpson. They gave up 42 to Mahia. Now, to be fair, that Mahia, they scored 77, so a lot of that 42 probably was after. But now in Timpson, it was a score for most of that game until Westwood stretched it out. Stanford 33, Lubbock Christian 6, as Clay Wetfield ran for 137 yards on 13 carries, and Casten Vega ran for another 102 on just 8 carries. Wow. They've established the power back. Big breakaway back. That is still my favorite football. When you've got 2 guys running backs and you got the one dude that he takes care of things between the tackles, and then you got the other guy that he's the one that makes the big plays.
I think that's called Thunder and Lightning. Yeah. All right. How about that? Anahuac 42, Garrison 14. Garrison is not a bad football team, and Anahuac lends more of itself to our 3A show, right? So if you're Garrison, you don't hang your hat losing to Anahuac, because I think they're a
really good
top 15 team in Class 3A. But wouldn't you want it to be a little bit closer?
Well,
right?
Especially when you beat Wascom, who, again, all jokes aside from our Big R's preview show, they do look to be improved. But you beat them 21-20. And then you beat ARP, who's okay, ARP's ARP. They're not great. They're not terrible. You beat them 27-26. You'd have liked to have at least stayed in the ballpark with Anahuac a little bit more, especially because this week, and we'll talk about it in the preview of this week, they're playing a team in Lovelady where I know a lot of people are saying this is like a pick'em game and all, but man, I kind of think Lovelady might not boat race Garrison, but if both of these teams, well, we'll get to it there. But anyway, yeah, I think Garrison would like to start seeing, as we said, this is when you start rounding in the form. They don't have district though for almost another month, so that does help. They've got 2 games and a bye before they hit district play, so they've got plenty of time to turn it around.
Yeah. All right. How about Winsboro 49, Honeygrove 21? Honeygrove kind of bitten by the injury bug.
Yeah, really
at
bad.
Key positions, right? Especially one position. At Riley Morris, he's out. That's a huge difference in Honeygrove offense.
It is, but I think it maybe if he comes back, this will be the best thing that happened to them, because the thing that you and I were frustrated about with Honeygrove over the last couple of years was
their schedule.
Well, their schedule, yes, but their offense was very. These guys, it was him and his brother, and then it's just him now. But in this game, even though they lost, James Daniels threw for 280 yards. Kendall Wolf had 4 catches, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So now if you integrate Raylan Morris back into that, all of a sudden Honeygrove really legitimately is going to be scary on that top half, because look, you're going to look at that score and think, well, Winsboro had their way. It should have been 8-7 at half. Honeygrove forced Winsboro to 4 turnovers in the first half, and then team's mistake and a turnover turned an 8 lead into a 2 touchdown deficit, and then Winsboro leaned on them with their depth and everything. I don't like the score, but I think Honeygrove is actually impressing me more struggling, because we're getting to see that in real time and how they figure that out.
Well, I've been huge on Honeygrove since the preseason as being a top 5 team.
And you were huge on them last year.
At times we've kind of disagreed. Right now, I'm taking a step back though, and I'm going to say Honeygrove is let's wait and see. Let's wait and see.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that.
Give me 2 weeks. Let them get healthy, and let's see where they start. Because I don't know if we'll know. Honeygrove.
You're about to say the problem was I was going to say this is it for being tested.
Now,
probably,
they're going to run through everybody until they get to Pewitt.
Now I will say this:
in the last district game of the season,
did we put them and Blue Ridge on the list?
We didn't. But that's going to be a bloodletting.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it will.
I have Blue Ridge winning that game.
No.
Okay.
No, that won't
We'll
happen.
see. That's a good
That
one.
happens in no universe. I'm telling you.
Okay.
Blue Ridge,
This is going to
no.
be fun. I can't wait to check back. You know, the sad thing is we both will forget.
I know.
And next week we won't even bring it up anymore. No, I don't really have Blue Ridge winning, but it's going to be a lot closer than people. Like, Blue Ridge is real deal, man. I got to see their offense, dude. Their offense.
If you've seen them.
Yes, I'm saying.
You've seen them. You watch them.
I watched them in Commerce. I got to watch that, and their
okay.
offense
Well,
is
then
the real
maybe
deal.
I'll.
But no,
I thought you were
Honeygrove
just
should win.
looking at their scores.
Oh no, no.
I have not seen Blue Ridge in person.
No, they have a legitimate offense this year.
Okay.
But their issue is going to be defense, and I do think Honeygrove's better than them. But I do want to circle that for next week just to kind of to bring it up.
All right.
Hey, Munster, they rebound from that win or loss against Holiday, which again, it's almost like a not really loss because they played a 3A team really well and took them to the mat. They beat their new rival Windthorst 56-21. That game was back and forth early, but then when Munster's rolling, they're going to play keep away from you, and they're going to hit big plays right when you're not expecting. And that's what they did with Windthorst. I think at one point they scored 21 straight points. They have another tough 3A game that we'll talk
against
about.
Pottsboro, man.
We're
that
still
one's
in
gonna
that.
be tough.
Yeah, we're still in that range where 2As are having to punch up because nobody will play them around, you know.
Right.
And so you see that. Where do you want to go next?
Let's go East Bernard 33, Ganado 12. Ganado front loading their schedule, which is, Ganado is a 2A favorite, right?
Oh, very much so.
To win state. And they are not scared to play. They're playing the heavy hitters, a class up. East Bernard is no exception. 33-12. Ganado hanging in there for most of this game, though. You know, I think that's a great game for Ganado. It's respectable the way they played them. The defense hung in there for a long time. Ganado's got a big one against Tidehaven again this week. And then everything's going to slow down for Ganado. And Ganado's going to start looking like, exactly like Gunner's doing up in 3A. They're playing the big boys. When it gets down to their punching weight, they're knocking people out.
Well, I want to, again, last year, East Bernard beat Ganado 35-27, and look where Ganado ended up. This is, again, it's repetitive when you're talking about it, but 2A punching up to 3A, as long as you're in the ballpark, you learn so much. Now, if you're getting beat, 66-0, then you're not gaining anything now. Right. But all these that we're talking about that are losing to 3As, they're all losing really, really competitive games.
Yeah, because East Bernard is playing 2 minutes into the fourth quarter.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
And that, again, and when you do pull the upsets and stuff, that's awesome. But again, we can do the exact same thing with Shiner.
Yeah.
Poth beats them, but it's 21-14. Look, you and I are very big on the Pirates in 3A, and they've started out the year really, really well. And this is one of those that Shiner has so much street cred. This is a quality win for the 3A Division II team over the 2A team.
Yeah, this Shiner defense pitched a shutout in the second half. But the offense just couldn't really move the ball.
That's where Shiner's struggling this year so far. Yeah. Offensively, they just haven't.
And, Shiner's 0-3, but look at those 3 losses.
Yeah, I was just about to go say that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So far on the year, they've lost to Hallettsville, Rice Consolidated. All jokes aside, Rice Consolidated has started the year off amazing. They've yet to give up a point, if I'm not mistaken. They lost to them, and they lost to Poth 21-14. So Shiner is averaging 11 something points a game. You never would thought you'd see a Shiner offense that wasn't averaging 30 and 40 points a game. And that's going to be their downfall.
Stout Bulldog defenses too, though.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying.
When Shiner gets in district, man.
But we'll see. I think that's the good question. They have another tough 3A this week. They're going to be taking on Vanderbilt Industrial.
That's right.
Speaking of, again, I feel like this is the 2A, 3A show. Edna, 42, Refugio 35. But, again, I'm really impressed with Refugio. I kind of thought Edna might beat Refugio by a couple touchdowns this year. I really think I like what Edna has this year. A lot of people don't realize
it's hard to beat Refugio by a couple
but
of
it felt
touchdowns.
Like, everybody, it kind of felt like them and Timpson, it was last year was their last year to be what they were. They'd still be good, but not quite as good. I don't know, man. This loss being 7 points and scoring 35 against a damn good Edna defense.
Yeah, despite the loss. Jordan King, man, goes for over 100 for 5,000 games in a row for Refugio.
Yeah, he gets lost last year in the Ernest Marshall stuff. And
Yeah.
that dude was an absolute beast, and he's the one that almost got them past Ganado in that playoff loss.
Right. And I think the last one we got to mention is Stanford and Lubbock Christian.
Yep.
Stanford's Slay Whitefield ran for 137 yards on 13 carries. Caston Varga ran for 102 yards on just 8 carries. And this defense, man, for Stanford is playing really well.
Yeah, they gave up 6 to Albany, 20 to De Leon, but that was a 44 to 20 win. I think it was like 35-6 at one point. And then, Lubbock Christian, they're just like Midland Christian. We talk about these schools. They're not quite as athletic and dominated by college players as say like Argyle Liberty, but Midland Christian and them, and what's that one down in San Antonio, Capstone or something.
Yeah.
They're always just going to have a couple dudes that are way bigger than you. They're going to have some depth. And I think this is a really solid win. To hold them to 6 and to beat them by 20 something points, I think it's impressive.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the big games this week in 2A. And I'll start it off with Ganado and Tidehaven, man. Ganado, look, Tidehaven, man, they're 2-1 with their loss to Goliad,
20-14, really good loss.
Yeah.
Beat
really
a solid
good loss.
Hallettsville team. That was a good win last week, in my opinion, for Tidehaven.
Oh, yeah. Very good win because I think Hallettsville's really good.
Yep.
Ganado's quarterback, Landon Arriga, he's going to be up against it this week against Tidehaven defensively. I think he's got 2 really good receivers in the Austin Pinas and the Luke Barnes camp, right?
Yeah.
So he'll have some help there. But I really think, what is Ganado's defense going to be able to do to limit Tidehaven offensively? Because I think Tidehaven's going to be able to move the ball.
Yeah, they're still figuring themselves out after Joseph Dodds graduating, but people need to quit thinking of Tidehaven as being a one and done team. I'm not saying they're going to play for state again, but this team is still very stacked. Kel Russell at quarterback, Jason Duran at running back. I mean, this team is still going to be playing.
And they got some earth movers up front, right?
Very big. And if I'm not mistaken, this was one of those where, you lose the guy, but all the other guys are back this year, or a lot of them are. And that's including that offensive line. And of course, they also play defense. They flip over. They have a young sophomore offensive lineman that's supposed to be really, really good. And so I think people just think, oh, that was a cute story. They had the running back. They'll go back down now. But no. I think David Lucio is really building something at Tidehaven. And he's from there. He'll stay there. They legitimately have a chance to be the next Refugio or Ganado of that South Texas area that can just be consistently in the region semifinals.
Yeah.
And in saying that, I think Tidehaven wins this game.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's a close one. I think
too.
it's Ganado could probably be up all the way late into the third quarter. And then I think Tidehaven just kind of wears them down.
Yeah, that's a really good.
But it's a very close one. All right, Panhandle versus River Road, Amarillo River Road. This is a tasty matchup right here. Panhandle's 3-0. They beat Stratford 33-27. So that's a quality win on their resume. River Road is 2-0. River Road's got a really good quarterback in Alex Warren. Running back, 2 running backs in Alex Warren and Sam Delgado. And the defense has been really, really good for River Road.
So the thing with River Road is this is one of those, you and I talk about this all the time. This is a team that has struggled over the last few years. Last year, they were 1-7. The year before, they were 2-8. But they returned 20 starters. So is that a good thing? Because sometimes that's great. And then sometimes you're like, I don't know if we want. I think this is a good thing.
Like a good thing.
Because these were all young guys and they're starting to develop. And again, they haven't played, they haven't played this toughest schedule. But
not a murderer's row.
When you've only won 3 games in 2 years and you start the year 2-0, you're going to get a little notice.
I think Panhandle's probably a little bit more battle tested, and especially came out on the top end with that Stratford win.
Yeah.
So I like Panhandle. I look for River Road to make this a game.
I don't think they will, but I want to see if they stay within. If they stay within 14
points.
Yeah, I'm about to say 2 to 3 touchdowns.
I think that's a game.
I think that. Yeah, I do too. That's again.
If it's going into the fourth quarter, a 2-touchdown game.
That's a game. Okay, that's we always joke about what our rules are. Our rules of what a game is you and I. We usually leave when the game's getting out of hand, or when the game's decided. So that's
Yeah.
if you're in the fourth quarter down 2, we're usually going to at least stay for a couple drives into the fourth quarter.
Right.
So I
right.
think that's a good way to do it. All right, we brought up Mason earlier.
Yeah, 2-1 Mason taking on 3-0 Junction. This is a rivalry game right here, right? Mason's 2-1 record. Their only loss was to Wall, 28-6. Junction had some good. Were they great wins? I don't know if they're great wins. I like Mason in this one by 14 points.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I am curious to see. First off, Junction has some cool helmets. They're the Eagles, but instead of doing the wings, they have the face that goes across the helmet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see how they play against Mason because they beat early. They beat Goldway. I think this is their first real test of the year, but I think that they can at least stay with them for a little bit. But I have Mason winning.
All right, Sunray and Childress. Childress are they undefeated or 2-1? I can't remember. Childress is a pretty good football team, though. And Armando Lujan and group is going to be tested by the depth, at least, of Childress. Childress got a pretty good quarterback, a really good offensive line, and a good running game.
Yeah, they got beat by Midland Greenwood to start the season. No shame in that.
No, Greenwood's not bad.
No,
Greenwood's been playing up and playing some heavy hitters.
Yeah, the issue with Childress, man, it just feels like every year when they have like one of those real big stud guys, somebody gets hurt, and it just feels like every year that they have high expectations. And it's not like they've been terrible; they've been 12-win team or a 12-game team for the last 4 years. But it always feels like they're one guy away from making that next step.
Right.
I'm not saying they're making it this year, but I think this is the closest they've been to Canadian since we went and saw them, in 2019?
Yeah. I don't think Childress beats Canadian this year.
I don't think so
but
either.
I think, they're going to give them one heck of a game. In saying that, I like Sunray in a close one.
Yeah, in this game, I like Sunray. Again, we keep talking about them because, they keep winning and they keep playing good quality opponents.
Right.
And I think they keep winning. I'm really high on Sunray this year, man.
And here outside of Ganado and Tidehaven, this game right here might be the game of the week in Class 2A and /3A, right? It's Munster taking on Pottsboro. Munster undefeated, Pottsboro 4-0. This is a game that features 2 dual threat quarterbacks going head to head, right? Munster's Casey Carney, 630 yards passing, 415 yards rushing this year. Pottsboro's Caden Humphrey, 597 yards passing and 438 yards passing or rushing. Whose defense is going to step up to stop the others? Is Munster's defense up to the task? Because if you've got a little bit of, I'm not going to say Munster's defense is a weakness because it's going to be fine down in Class 2A.
But playing against 3A teams.
But playing against 2A teams, I think Pottsboro has the edge here. Against that Munster defense. Munster, I think, will be able to score points.
Yeah.
Can they slow down Pottsboro?
So I do.
And make 3 stops.
Yeah.
Right? They need 3 stops. Munster's defense needs 3 stops against this Pottsboro offense to allow their offense to get ahead. And I don't think they got that in them.
I 100% agree with you. I think the one thing we need to remember, though, in that holiday game, they gave up 49 points. One was a kickoff return for a touchdown, and 2 others was directly off of a fumble that was on the special teams and a punt block. But I agree with you. I think now Munster could get in a shootout and win, though. That's the thing about that.
They could.
The thing that frustrated Coach Carney, by the way, we have a Munster show you can hear each and every week on our network. The thing that frustrated him is that they would go 5-6 minute drives and then Holiday score on the very first play.
Yeah.
We always talk about how the long drives will kill a team, and they will unless you just immediately score right away.
The backbreaker can come from many different sides.
Yeah. And so if it gets in a shootout, it's going to hurt them. I could see them winning, but I just think Pottsboro's too deep.
Yeah.
I think, but again, just like the holiday game, it's going to be a loss, but I don't think it's not going to be anything you need to be worried about.
Oh, yeah.
Munster's going to be perfectly fine as long as they stay
healthy.
healthy.
I think Munster has a path to Arlington that they could possibly navigate and get to state championship.
Especially with Albany.
No matter what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Garrison versus Lovelady. That's our last game. Give me Lovelady in this one.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it might end up being 2 to 3 scores. Lovelady, everybody's going to point.
I think it could be 3 scores.
Everybody's going to point. Yeah, I'm not. I wanted to say that, but I feel like, man, I still trust in Garrison long term. I just think Garrison.
I got the balls to say it, man. You don't. I do.
Well, I have 2 balls. Do I have 3 balls?
Oh, game ball. Yeah. You know how many games this ball? We'll interview game ball.
You do. I thought that's where you were going.
How many games, controversial games too, by the way, this ball has been in? There's a lot of history in this ball, and we can ask this ball.
It's amazing to me that the ball
kind of like playoff tree.
Well, yeah, but playoff tree. It's amazing to me though that the ball, this ball, was at the infamous Stanford, California, lateral game, and at the Hail Mary game for Doug Flutie, and at the controversial pass interference game when Miami almost lost in the national championship.
Yeah, well, it was also at Jewett Leon in Buffalo one year.
Man, Buffalo.
I know, it's been everywhere.
Yeah, it's been everywhere.
Right?
But
not Buffalo, New York, Buffalo, Texas. So.
Everybody's going to look at that Timpson game for Lovelady and go, man, they gave up 48 points. Well, or 50 points. Well, it's Timpson. They shut out Groveton, and I know Groveton's not great, but they shut out Groveton. They held 3A Elkhart to 22 points. I think the game is going to be decided by Lovelady defense. I don't think Garrison can stop Lovelady. I don't think Lovelady can stop Garrison a lot, but like you said about Stir and them, you got to make, if Lovelady or whoever wins the game, you make 3 stops, you're probably going to win the game.
Defensively, you have to hold serve.
Now watch, it'll be 21-20 because that's what Garrison's been playing as all of those. Yeah. Right, is that it?
That's it.
Oh, man, we appreciate everybody joining us week 4. Okay, so next week, there will be no 2A show. There will be just one show. Grant will be out of town, so I will be having a special where I'm going to be having like Chris Welch from Bushland on to talk a little 4A. Probably have some of the coaches I do regular weekly shows, have them call in on video and have them. We're going to have a couple guys for 2A people that I'm talking to, some big country people. So everything will be on the same sites, but just know there won't be a
big country people like Chris Stapleton.
Pat
Green.
Yes. Well, I said real country.
Dude. Pat Green's real country.
You have this is one of the reasons why I knew we'd be friends. You have the exact same issue I have with the Red Dirt. Is their whole songs are just like
not Pat Green.
I know, but I'm just saying, driving through Alto, winning the cushion, and so everybody would go.
That's just regular country.
I know. But anyway, so we will have.
Tractor,
I meant big country.
Oh,
right here, big country.
Oh, big country.
Big
You're
country.
talking Abilene. That's a great.
Yeah.
By the way, we get a lot of our we can get a lot of our stats
from Abilene.
Yeah,
from big country?
from that area.
Yeah.
Through those guys. So
and we're gonna. And by the way, starting this week, we have a big country region show coming out that we start up this week. So when you look next week, just remember it's one show. You can find the audio version of these. I do put those up on Thursdays at s2sgrantandterry.com. The YouTube version, as you can tell, at youtube.com/L4 Media. I think that's going to do. Oh, by the way, any questions, thoughts, or comments, email us, Grant and Terry at S2S Sport. Find us on Facebook, Sideline to Sideline, on that cesspool that is Twitter, at Grant and Terry. And no, we're not putting pictures of. I had somebody ask me. So if you don't know, X is really weird now. And you go on there and they just whatever Elon Musk wants everybody to see. And so somebody thought we were posting pics of like gruesome car wrecks and stuff. No, we're not. That's just the Twitter feed. There's nothing we can do about it. But anyway, until week 5, until week 6 for you. He's Grant Goodwin. I'm Terry Bennett. This is Sideline to Sideline, the 2A edition.
When I was small and